All right, Section 4, Chapter 2, operating under unusual conditions. Due to the environmental conditions required with a successful paving operation, most of the paving machine hydraulic electrical functions are not even using unusual environmental weather conditions. Most common conditions limit the ability to eliminate the machine with the paving machine. The paving machine can be driven under unusual environment weather conditions. Some precautions detailed in the following paragraphs. 227.1 hot weather. The paving machine is equipped with a high temperature warning indicator light that turns on when the engine coolant temperature reaches 214 degrees Fahrenheit. The high temperature shuts down sensors to stop the engine. The coolant temperature reaches 220 degrees Fahrenheit. The coolant temperature is 214 to 220, usually can correspond with the ambient air temperature of 120 or greater. The paving machine can be operated at temperature that is above the 125 degrees by the valve of the procedures. Note the maximum throttle control can switch to the maximum cooling provided with the engine hydraulic machine function. The hydraulic engine RPM create the faster circulation of coolant in the engine hydraulic oil in the hydraulic system. Set the throttle control switch to the maximum throttle. Pull back on the left control right control handle 3 with the slowest efficient paving speed. Turn the auxiliary conveyor speed control valve to the slowest possible paving speed. Turn the screen vibrator screen control speed to the slowest efficient vibrating setting. The high temperature warning indicator light comes on, stopping having the offload paving material per paragraph 228.1. When the ambient air temperature drops to 120 degrees Fahrenheit, resume paving. Engage the oil in the chamber every 50 hours when operating with a paving machine extremely heat with the engine coolant temperature above average 200 degrees Fahrenheit greater than 50 hours machine operating for the unit machine for oil change. Cold weather operations. In the following, to start with the paving, the machine temperature is below 50 degrees Fahrenheit. The ignition switch of the preheat with the position hold the 10 seconds of the heating inductor heater. Starter motor overheat with the operator longer than 30 seconds if the engine does not start. Allow the motor to cool to 2 or 3 minutes before starting. Trying again if the engine fails to start. As after 3 attempts, notify the unit maintenance to turn the ignition switch for the start position. Immediately release the engine start the switch from the spring. Return to the on position. Max extreme cold, the temperature of the machine operating negative 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Paving the machine operation will sluggish and the hydraulic oil reaches the normal operating temperature. If the machine will start with the temperatures higher than negative 50 degrees, the machine can be operated after the engine coolant temperature start with the rise of the gauge panel temperature of the gauge on non-proportion hydraulic function cannot be operated without until the hydraulic oil temperature reaches 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and other special operation procedures are required. All right. 227.3. Extremely dusty standard conditions. Using extreme wind, drive, and dust conditions, check the air filter service and indicator every 1.5 hour. Surface air cleaner with a per 2-1 operative with permit memorandum. Make check service daily, twice a day. Replace the air clean filter, paragraph 2337. After 50 hours of the continuous operation, extremely dusty. Death or serious injury could occur with the compressed air with the directed again for the skin. Do not compress air with the cleaning with the drying unless the pressure is as required for 30 psi or less. When working in the compressed air, always use the chip with the guards, eye protection, and other personal protective equipment. Use compressed air with the blowout with the dirt debris with a hydraulic oil cooler radiator. The paving machine should not be operated with the sandstorm. The following precautions protect the machine from the damage during the sandstorm. Ensure the extension screeds are retracted hopper blades, hopper wings are open screed. There is a travel position to protect with the cylinder shaft with the brace of blowing sand. 2. Coat the chrome guide shaft with a screed with a heavy coat with automotive with artillery grease. Cover the air cleaner cap assembly with a sheet plastic and salt protective covers on the operator console screed control cover box. Close all access doors and covers. 227.4 high altitude operation. The paving machine designed with a considerable amount of the reserve horsepower that compensate with the machine operation at altitudes up to 10,000 feet. The engine box down on high altitude, reducing paving speed until the engine runs smoothly. Table 2, terrain limits, maximum incline 15 degrees, maximum decline 15 degrees, maximum side slope 12 degrees, diesel engine mounted sideways, machine with side slope to do with limits for the engine gauge, the oil pump with the oil sump configuration, keep the engine lubricated. Lifting screed to travel to the position, use the screed lifting switch and below the screed travel lock valve per paragraph 212. Selecting speed range travel to pave and per paragraph 212 using based on the machine grade with the speed slope limitation in table 2.2. Or the morning, the machine center of the gravity screed rate toward the back of the machine. The paving machine rock backward on the steep inclines, rough the terrain, and encounter travel the paving speed is only. For to do so, may eject the operator from the operator platform, resulting in serious personal injury or possible equipment damage. Caution: traveling over the rocky terrain. Check for the oil pressure whenever the slope of the train. If the oil pressure gauge needle fluctuate, the drop slope of the train are excessive. Terrain is excessive. Note: paved machine can be operated with a reverse to counteract the effect of the excessive grade or slope. Use slower speed for traveling over the rough, the bumps, and short inclines of uneven terrain. If the paving machine will not roll backward on the screed if the obstacles encountered too fast at the speed when approaching the grid, make sure the screed that does not contact the ground. As a safety precaution, move the operator control console with the upslope side of the operator when he's traveling across the side slope. This will allow the operator to exit the machine upslope in the case if the machine should start to slip or roll. Fording. The paving machine is capable of traveling waters up to 30 inches. Caution, hot screed plates must be permitted to cool off prior to the fording. Do not direct contact with cold water will permanently damage the hot screed plates. In a stream with a water of 30 inches deep, the high water level will be 1 inch below the bottom of the side access cover. The paving materials hoppers should be offloaded more fording. Side access cover lifts in screed travel position closed screed with the lock valve per paragraph 214. Allow the screed plates to air cool with a 1 hour minimum prior for fording. B4, improve visibility, raise hopper wings, fully raise position using hopper wings for screed lift switch, and then they show the vibrator switch, left and right, auger switches, left and right, hopper wing switches, set auger conveyor switch in the center off position, set the vibrator switch center off position. Place the travel switch forward, reverse position, range, and switch in the travel position, hair position, slow the move both control handle fully forward portion, and position the forward stream. No special lubrications drainage procedure required after fording. 2028 emergency procedure, offloading residual asphalt. In an emergency situation, fully loaded hopper has to be emptied immediately. Using the following procedure, empty all the paving material in the hopper. Use a careful retraction screed with the bolt on extension. Maximum retraction bolt on extension is limited to 1 foot per side. Damage to the extend gates will result in extension screed if retracted too far. Note, both the paving machine operator and screed crew are needed to quickly perform an emergency hopper offload. Retract the extension screed with the screed control switch 1. Place the left and right feed control switch to the up and on position. Turn the left and right auger control switch to the center off position. Open the flow gates. Move the left and right flow with the gate switch 4 onto the open position. Empty the hopper wings with all residual material. Moving the hopper wing switches to 5 and into the raised position. Turn the left right auger conveyor speed control valves to clockwise to fully open position. Turn the throttle control switch 7 to max. Instruct the screed crew member to dismount and screed. Instruct all the surrounding personnel to stand clear of the pavement. Ensure all the equipment clear of the wave of the paving machine. Place the screed lift switch 8 into the uplift position. Place the speed range switch in 9 upper hair travel position. Turn the left right auger switches down to the manual position. Ensure all the personnel surrounding the equipment clear of the way from the paving machine before placing the control handles full forward during the emergency hopper offload. Paving the machine jump forward. Machine will jump forward. Failure to do so may result in serious injury, death, or personnel damage to the equipment. Push left and right control handles fully forward to the maximum speed. Empty the hopper with the auger conveyor system operating with the maximum speed. When the hopper is empty, place the auger conveyor switches into the center off position. Wash down the paving machine. Shut down the paving machine. Remove the key for the ignition switch. Switch per paragraph 211. Alright, 2.2. Chocking on the pavement machine. Emergency situation paving machine spring actuated hydrostatic release brakes fail to operate. Chock the machine brakes according to the following procedures. Do not open the screed travel lock if anyone near under the screed. The screed can fall rapidly with the screed travel lock valve open. When the falling screed can cause severe injury or death. Turn the screed travel lock valve counterclockwise to open. Lower the screed into the ground, moving the screed until the switch is in the float position. Move the low point, moving that switch to the down position. Lower the screed and toe arms to exert more ground pressure on the screed. Place 8x8 by 14-inch minimum wood blocks in the front of the crawler tracks. If the paving machine is disabled on the side slope, angle the wooden blocks on the down slope across the front of the rear of the crawler tracks. Prevent slippage. Pinning for the toe point. The toe point of the paving machine can be converted hydraulic controlled, mechanically controlled, being pinned with the tractor. Mechanical control may be required to emergency situation. Hydraulic toe point with cylinder fail. The pin with the toe point mat thickness can be adjusted to full 8 inches using the thickness control with the pin and the low point. 228.4 screeded burn fire and controlled screed burner fire can occur with the diesel fuel accumulates on the screed plate for the screed burner and ignited the following procedure to prevent with the screed burner for the fire. Push in any one of the 3 emergency stop switches, either the operator control console switch panel, left, right, and screed control panel. Switch emergency stop switch and the screed control panel emergency stop switch. Retrieve the fire extinguisher mounted on the right screed, step with the railing on the screed, direct with the fire extinguisher down the screed plates. Fire will either be extinguished with the fire extinguisher or burn out itself, or when all the fuel is consumed. Warning: all area of the screed burn fire extinguisher. All area of the screed burner fire cool with failure to wait for the area to cool can cause severe burns. After the fire extinguisher is closed, the screen and burner fuel shut off valve. Inspect the screed plate for accumulation, except for the diesel fuel remaining on screed plates. Inspect the burnt wire, hydraulic hose, the burnt fuel line, hoses, burner, insulation foam, other flammable materials. Report any damage to your supervisor. If there's no visible damage of the hydraulic assembly, hydraulic emergency stop switch, start the paving machine per paragraph 210, raise the screed travel position, paragraph 212, drain off the remaining diesel fuel with the screed plate, extend left and right extension screeds, turn off the main extension screed blowers, per paragraph 216, let them run in 1/2 hour with the fuel evaporation. Do not attempt to relight the burners until the excess fuel is evaporated with the screed platers. Alright, 228.5. Emergency starting. Slave starting paving the machine whenever the low battery condition prevents the proper starting operation. All battery connections must be clean. Secure the slave start procedure. Working properly, use the following procedure. First, check with the secure the battery connection, then slave the starting paving machine. Always check the voltage gauge panel voltmeter. Slave starting paving machine. The voltmeter does not indicate the volt change. The battery may not be properly connected. Damage to the battery cable series, injury, and personnel may result in slave starting paving machine with improperly connected batteries. While watching the gauge panel, the voltmeter ignition of the switch preheat, check with the change of the voltage indicator of the gauge panel voltmeter. If no voltage gauge change is seen, notify the supervisor. Do not try to slave start the paving machine until the voltage change is seen with the gauge panel voltmeter. Alright, slave starting with the paving machine is a two-person task. One person needed to operate the slaving vehicle with the second person start with the paving machine. The paving ignition switch off, then remove the key position of the slaving vehicle closed enough to do the paving machine slave cable hookup. Gauge panel, voltmeter, ignition switch, preheat switch. Turn the slave vehicle ignition switch off. To remove the key, make sure all slave vehicle electrical switches are turned off. Remove the slave receptacle covers on the machine and for slaving the vehicle. Note the paving machine is not equipped with a slave cable or is not intended for use of the slaving vehicle. Connect the slave cable to the slave receptacle of both vehicles. Instruct the slaving vehicle operator to start up the slaving vehicle and run the engine at a high idle. Alright, set the paving machine control to the following position. Control handle neutral, working light switch off, throttle engine control switch idle, speed range toward paved, travel switch neutral, speed vibrator switch off, angiography control layer switch off, speed fuel pump switch off, screed burners control switch off, screed blower switch off, feed controller switch off, auger conveyor reverser controller switch off. Warning: engine operation cover the hazard noise level that causes hearing loss. The wire air protection while operating working near the paving machine conveyor movement that may cause the injury or death. Either ensure no personnel or hoppers starting the engine prior to operation. Unusual environmental weather conditions. Refer to the operation unusual environmental weather condition, paragraph 227. Alright, caution. Starter motor by overheating operating with longer than 30 seconds. The engine does not allow the starter to cool for 2 to 3 minutes before starting the engine. Engine fails to start after 3 attempts. Notify the unit maintenance. Turn the ignition to the start position. Immediately release the engine. Starts when the spring on position. Caution: incorrect oil pass pressure can cause the engine damage if the gauge does not display proper readings to shut down the engine. Correct malfunction before operation. Check engine oil pressure. If the engine oil pressure develops, immediately shut down the engine. Engine oil pressure gauge should be read from 10 to 15 psi minimum at low idle, 30 to 100 psi maximum at high idle. Disconnect the slave cable to both vehicles and install the slave receptacle cables. Covers. Caution: incorrect oil pressure for the temperature cover. The engine is damaged if the gauge for the does not display proper reading. Shut down the engine. Correct the malfunction before operation. Do not idle unnecessary before a long period of time. Idle with the engine unnecessary long period of time. Waste fuel. Fuel fouls the injectors. Unburned fuel cover the carbon buildup. Oil dilution. Formation of liquor over the gum or deposit valves and pistons and rings. After startup, observe the engine gauges, warning lights, proper readings. RPM 560 to 850, oil pressure for 10 to 15 psi, coolant temperature 1700 to 170 to 200 degrees Fahrenheit, hydraulic oil temperature 200 to 200 degrees Fahrenheit, voltage meter 12 to 14 volt DC. Run the engine idle for the 5 minutes before paving the operation begins. Do not race the engine during the warm-up period. emergency traveling for the use of the high temperature manual override button. The paving machine must be moved and automatically shut down due to the high engine control temperature conditions. Start the move and machine according to the following procedures. When the engine coolant temperature reaches 214 degrees, high temperature warning indicator light turns on. Movement remains until the engine ignition switch is turned off. Engine coolant temperature drops below 214 degrees Fahrenheit. The engine coolant temperature reaches 220 degrees Fahrenheit. Pavement shuts down automatically. Place both control handles in central neutral position and push the high temperature manual override button. Keep the button override pushed in until the paving machine is started and moved. Alright, caution, do not operate the engine with a high temperature any longer with the necessary caution. Operation with a high temperature will cause permanent damage to the engine. Start with the motor may overheat with the operator longer than 30 seconds. The engine does not start. Allow the starter to cool in 3 minutes before. Try again if the engine fails to start 3 times. Refer to the unit maintenance number. Turn the ignition switch to the start position. Immediately release the engine. Start the switch to the spring. Return to the on position. Move the throttle control switch to maximum. Travel switch forward reverser. Switch in forward reverse speed range, switch for the travel hair position, screed level switch to the raised position, slow the move control handles forward or move the pavement shift clears nearest out of the way, location paving shut down. Do not run overheated engine any longer than necessary. Release the high temperature manual override button. Shut down the paving machine. Paragraph 211, refer to overheated engine problem to unit maintenance. Alright, chapter 3, and that completes, and we already did that. I skipped this chapter, but I actually did chapter 3 already.